exciting season on the water for New Zealand's fastest Formula One tunnel and GP hydroplane races. And for the championship, it all comes down to the final round here in Cromwell. Central Otago provides a stunning backdrop, with the weather conditions providing some challenges over the Anzac weekend. At the penultimate round of the series in Hokitika, there was drama for one of the championship contenders, Luke Sharp. Sharp's New Zealand designed and built Zenith Technica flipped spectacularly, caught here on Jeff Price's and Sharp's own onboards. Sharp was thankfully okay, but the crash put a dent in his title defence for the 2015 Formula One Tunnel Series. For the final round here in Cromwell, all of the boats adorned special decals commemorating the 100-year Anzac anniversary as the teams prepared for their own battles on the water. Beach start for heat number 1, the final round here in Cromwell. 5 championship contenders going into the final. It's down to 4, no Luke Sharp after his issues in Hokitika. Malcolm Jamieson on the outside in Rayglass as they head up to the top mark, have to hold their line to the first turn. Derek McAdam to the inside of Julian Stillwell. Out in front though, it's Nick Coles and Public Enemy. Leading down the back straight for the first time, chased by the chase, Derek McAdam. He's going to pull up alongside. Stillwell back in third. So effectively 4 championship contenders here for the final, on board with Jeff Price and Lone Wolf to his left, Steve Priest and TNT. Slightly tricky conditions on the water, quite blustery wind as McAdam drives around Coles. They're still side by side. Julian Stillwell to the inside, back in third. Malcolm Jamieson surprisingly a little bit further down the order in Rayglass. Problems there for Coles. He gets rounded up by Stillwell, and into the lead goes Derek McAdam in the chase. Boat number 19 back on board with Stillwell in Scott Construction. Slight chop on the water. You can see how physical these boats are on turning. Stillwell trying to stay here with McAdam, made up a little bit of ground. There's Anthony Robertson a little bit down the order as well. Steve Priest next in line in TNT, the former Robertson boat. And there is Malcolm Jamieson with Coles now dropping back to last. Jamieson flies down the front straight. Back on board the second place, Stillwell and Scott Construction. McAdam still your race leader. Stillwell looking for some clean water, trying to keep out of the rooster tail. As the checkered flag flies, and it will be McAdam with the victory in heat number 1. And that's from Julian Stillwell and Scott Construction in second, Jeff Price in third, and Lone Wolf followed by Anthony Robertson in Design Windows, Malcolm Jamieson in Rayglass, Nick Coles, early race leader in Public Enemy, and unfortunately for Steve Priest and TNT, a DNF for heat number 1.
Yeah, it's really windy out there, quite swirly in places, so you're sort of running lots of negative trim. You leave it open up quite a bit down the back straight, obviously with the wind behind your back, but probably tend to be a bit more cautious coming up the side than if you're into the wind, because obviously the wind that comes off the airboat, you don't want to take the wind away from yours, because you obviously have problems there, but yeah, you just try and aim if you're going to do an overtake on anybody, just do it down the back straight where it's nice and safe.
On to the second heat. Public Enemy closest to camera. Not a great start for Malcolm Jamieson and Rayglass. As they head up to the first turn, again holding their lines. Jamison's got some dramas. He had some issues in the first heat, which dropped him down the order. And it's Anthony Robertson leading in Design Windows, chased by Julian Stillwell in Scott Construction. The business end of the championship. Need good finishes. 2 of the championship contenders out in front. Jamieson dropping off the pace. This could hurt him in the end. Jeff Price, the other championship contender, at the moment not able to be with the 2 out in front. Very different line there from Stillwell. Look at the crossover. Anthony Robertson leading. The distinctive Design Windows number 21 has consistently been one of New Zealand's fastest races over the last 5 or 6 years. Back on board with Jeff Price. Jamieson slowing to his right. So it's all going wrong here for Malcolm Jamieson and Rayglass in the second heat. After a tough first heat, there is Jeff Price in Lone Wolf, battling with Nick Coles in Public Enemy. Nick had a strong start in the first heat, fell back towards the tail after some issues. Racing side by side here with Lone Wolf. And that should be for third place on the water. Back on board with Stillwell, trying to get to Anthony Robertson. Again, two very different lines. Robertson in control, heading down to take the checkered flag for heat number 2. Robertson takes the win from Stillwell. Derek McAdam winning the first heat. Robertson winning heat number 2. Design Windows with the victory from Julian Stillwell in Scott Construction. Jeff Price third in Lone Wolf. Derek McAdam fourth in the chase, followed by Nick Coles in Public Enemy. A struggling Malcolm Jamison in Rayglass. And it did not start. A bad weekend continues for Steve Priest in TNT.
The engine's been sour all day and we couldn't quite figure out what was actually going wrong with it. But in that last one, it's actually getting water into the cylinder, so it's not a good day for the engine. So no, we're done and dusted for the season now. So we'll watch tomorrow.
Yeah, the conditions out there are pretty tricky, but we come out with a good win then, and we got a win on the hot lap this morning, so we're pretty stoked. We're pretty good in the championship at the moment, so hopefully we can hold everything together for tomorrow.
Still to come, the awesome blown big block 170-mile-an-hour GP hydroplanes, who all had a test run on day 1 here in Cromwell in preparation for their races on the Sunday. Testing a new rear wing configuration, Kenny Lupton in Lucas Oils. David Alexander in the fearsome shark-inspired Steeler. Raymond Hart GP05, the boss. Jack Lupton in GP57, one of the newcomers to the sport, and he has been spectacular in 2015. And of course, Warwick Lupton in the Radical Annihilator race boats. Welcome back to Cromwell, where we caught up with one of the F1 tunnel racers, Nick Coles.
Hi, I'm Nick Coles from the Public Enemy F1 race team, based in Cambridge in the Waikato. This is my first season in F1 powerboats, and it's pretty full on. It's a lot more than what I expected, coming from ski boats. So I really got into it through my family. My grandfather used to race, and my father was involved, so I thought it'd be the best thing for myself to get in the seat as well. Spare time, I'm always working on the boat. For a job, I'm an account manager for Mitre 10 in Waikato. So this is the last round for us, the Nationals down in Cromwell, and we hope to do quite well.
Day 2 dawned with the teams moving the race course as we go to heat number 3. To the other side of Lake Dunstan and Cromwell, but the weather conditions worsening, still windy and now rain added into the mix. On board with Jeff Price. The penultimate race for the 2015 Formula 1 Tunnel Series. Price to the inside. That looked like Derek McAdam to the outside in the chase. So really tricky conditions. Still a little chop on the water. Some great side-by-side racing here. It's Jeff Price out in front in Lone Wolf, trying to keep his championship chances alive. That championship now comes down to 3. Malcolm Jamison not making the race start here for heat number 3 in Rayglass. So it's Stillwell, Price and Robertson in championship contention. On board with Stillwell. Little kink on the back straight. Tricky conditions with the wind and the rain and a little bit of sunshine as well, not helping with visibility. Stillwell back in third place on the water. Jeff Price still your race leader. You can hear the rain and the effects on the cameras. You can see it on the water as well. Derek McAdam second in the chase. Your race leader for Heat 3 is Jeff Price and Lone Wolf. On board with the race leader. Steve Priest back on the water in TNT after a troubled first two races. The former Anthony Robertson, KRB Hull. On board with the race leader. Finish line not too far away for Jeff Price and Lone Wolf. Third different winner over 3 heats. Jeff Price will take out heat number 3 as the weather conditions continue to change. Derek McAdam in second in the chase. Boat number 19, Julian Stillwell in third in Scott Construction. Anthony Robertson fourth in Design Windows, followed by Steve Priest in TNT. Nick Coles in Public Enemy. Ryan Birch on the water for day 2 in Chill Out with Malcolm Jamison. It did not start.
Yeah, I think we did some quick sums, and although Anthony would have to have a disaster and not finish, that's the only way we can get to first. But we moved into second after that race by 2 points to Scott Construction. But he has done better over the weekend, so he's got an inside pole in the next race. So it's all on, last race.
So there's one more race for the Formula 1 tunnels and 3 championship contenders. Now it's on to the GP Hydroplanes, where we caught up with Ken Lupton and Lucas Oils.
Actually had a bit of weight, they're about 18 kilos, so we're getting a bit light in the back end of it, so we put a bit of weight in there. Also added 50 kilos to the back of it with lead, and using the wings, hopefully it's keeping us in a straight line a bit more. And we've done a lot of homework on the rudder situation we had on there, and we actually had it pretty good on Friday. You know, it was starting to fly doing about 8,000 RPM and had 1,200 RPM up our sleeve, so we were pretty confident. And we went down to Old Cromwell yesterday and had a bit of a bladder around down there, but we've hit the bottom of the lake out there. There must have been a shallow, but we've ripped all the back of the rudder and ripped the bracket, so we're back to square one a bit. But we worked all night last night to get it semi-right, and we've got another system on there that hopefully will work this morning.
Well, the excitement levels are building here on Lake Dunstan. Look at this lineup. GP Hydroplanes, 5 of them on the water. To the inside is Jason Hegarty and Miss Aberdeen. One of the Grand National boats on board here with Jack Lupton, who gets a flyby from Big Brother, Kenny Lupton and Lucas Oils. Raymond Hart to the inside in the Boss GP05 as they thunder down the front straight. Warwick Lupton to the outside and Annihilator Raceboats back on board with Jack Lupton and GP57. Busy in the office. A fantastic lineup, and you can see while the conditions down the bottom end of the course look not too bad, it is quite bumpy over the back straight. Raymond Hart's certainly nowhere near maximum limit in the Boss. On board with Jack Lupton chasing down GP05. Darkening skies, still big wind gusts out on the race course. Raymond Hart in the Boss. Leading heat number 1 for the GP Hydros. Jack Lupton in second. Looks like Warwick Lupton to the outside and Annihilator Raceboats. We've lost Lucas Oils. Ken Lupton. Jason Hegarty in Miss Aberdeen. Running in Grand National configuration. So certainly not the horsepower of the big blown GP Hydros, which can produce upwards of 1,800 horsepower, capable of 170 miles an hour. Not quite seeing that here at the moment. Tricky conditions on the lake. Raymond Hart in control in the Boss, the iconic Boss. Just a little throttle lift there just to settle the boat. Tricky conditions. Some choppy water out there on the race course. Here's Jack Lupton through the spray, chasing down Raymond Hart. There's the gap on Jack's on board. Annihilator Raceboats to the inside. Warwick Lupton, multiple world champion. The Radical Annihilator Raceboats starting to get a gain here on young Jack. The teacher chasing the pupil. Father versus son. Lupton trying to get that inside line to work. May have lost a little bit of momentum, but he gets the run and he's right up with Hart here on the front straight. Annihilator Raceboats into the lead and he takes off. Lupton up and over in Annihilator Raceboats. A big accident here on the lake. Wow, spectacular stuff, Jack Lupton. He's straight out of the boat and going to the attentions of Warwick. The canopy's open, Warwick's up and out of the boat. The safety cell has done its job. Jack checking on his dad. Well, quick thinking there from Jack Lupton. But you got to say, as we look at the onboard here from Jack, that is just absolutely spectacular. I think, thankfully for Warwick, the boat actually landed right side up. Stunning pictures here in Cromwell. Jack had the foresight and the quick reactions to turn straight around. Here's another replay. Taking to the air, you can see it landed on the stern, which broke the boat in half. And unbelievably, while Warwick comes back to the shore, that was the finish of the race. And it was Raymond Hart who narrowly got the victory from a flying Warwick Lupton. Jack Lupton in third and GP57, David Alexander, Jason Haggerty, Ken Lupton at DNF.
Oh, well, I actually missed the start, and I was making ground all through the whole race, and Raymond the Rabbit from the South Island, obviously we were here to chase him down, and I got the inside running in the end. I was making big ground, and I sort of knew I only had, that last 400 metres to finish him off, and I lightened it up a bit and, gave it some horsepower, and we hit 2 waves in a row, and I couldn't get it back down. I knew I was on for the ride then, so I sat there and played the game, which was nothing. Out there, the water's quite hard, and everyone you hit, you launch off, and the air trap's getting quite high on them, so I probably should have run more wing, and we actually discussed it before I went out that we should raise the back wing to keep the nose down, but she was a pretty wild ride, but no problem.
Yeah, look, it got pretty rough out there with the boats and that going around, and I was trying to pick a bit of clean water and take wide lines and not slow down on the turns too much, because these boys can corner a bit quicker than us, and in actual fact I backed out of it a wee bit thinking that I was there, but no, he came up like a rocket, and then I looked to the left and could see him doing a flip, so it did bring back some of my memories of Warwick. I know what you're feeling, let's hope it all comes out good.
One of the most important parts of any race boat is the prop.
Well, if you think about a propeller as the gears, we can't select gears. We don't have a gearbox like a conventional car, or for the different length of track to keep our revs in the right range to keep our power going, we select propeller pitch. So a propeller is sized on how far one revolution travels through the water without slip in a horizontal distance. So we pick a prop that we think is going to give us an average sort of you're either going to be really good off the beach, or you're going to have a really good top end. Very rarely you get the complete package, so you just deal with what you've got. You usually carry a range 3 or 4 and pick it on the day. Yeah, if you get choppy water, you'll go with a smaller propeller because you won't get the top end speed, but you want the punch out of the corner, and it gives you more control.
It is the 4th and final heat, the final race of the 2015 Formula One Tunnel Series. The conditions have worsened. Look at the chop on the water. Flying start there from Jeff Price and Lone Wolf. He's in the middle. Steve Priest to his outside and TNT. Julian Stillwell somewhere down there on the inside. In Scott Construction as Jeff Price has gone over. Jeff Price and Lone Wolf inverted. A big crash there for Jeff Price. He's out of the boat. He is out of the boat. Steve Priest circling around a couple of the other boats, also looking to render assistance, but it is pretty tricky getting out of these boats. But thankfully, Jeff Price is out of Lone Wolf on board. This is with Steve Priest. Lone Wolf just takes to the air. And unlike Warwick Lupton's GP, the front of the boat dug in. All of these Formula One tonners with a safety capsule. The drivers with an onboard air system as well, in case of an incident like this. A spectacular incident here for Jeff Price. Really treacherous conditions. Thankfully, Jeff getting out under his own steam, but look at the damage.
We were looking good for making it first into that first corner and pushing Julian in. If we finished in front of him, we were good for second instead of third in the championship. As it is, if it gets cool now, we actually get second, so that's the irony of it all. So yeah, pushing a little bit hard, we gust of wind, and yeah, pushed over the line. Yeah, we were just saying there was only 2 boats that have started and finished every race, and that was Anthony and ourselves up until then. And so Anthony, the guy who won it, is the one who started and finished every race.
Just you and me, eh?
This lake's no good for you and me.
No, it's
We
terrible.
need to band ourselves from here.
Terrible lake.
Light-hearted moment there between Jeff Price and Warwick Lipton. Coming down to the final race, Anthony Robertson, the New Zealand champion for 2015 on 425 points from Jeff Price, Julian Stillwell in third, and further on down the order with all of the boats that raced in 2015.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. I mean, we've had a big season and we've come out number one. And yeah, I mean, we didn't finish the last race due to Jeff blowing over in some bad conditions out there. But yeah, no, we're happy to have survived the season. It's a long season for all the drivers. And you know, before we got here, we were two points behind the lead. So to come out on top, big celebrations tonight.
So we've been from one end of New Zealand to the other for the 2015 Formula One Tunnel Series and the GP Hydroplane Championship. We'll look forward to seeing you back in 2016 for more action on the water.